What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's been a little while, so we're jumping back into the Connected Chargers franchise here on Madden 20. We're 10 games in, so I figure it's a really good point to catch you guys up on everything that's been happening in this franchise. We're going to take a look at the league and everything like that, and then we're going to go ahead and get you guys some gameplay in what will be the next video. Today will be a primarily a recap on what has happened up to this point. Now, you guys will see from our record that we are sitting at 9-1, and this episode coming up is going to be a really interesting video if we do decide to do this this Kansas City Chiefs matchup. But regardless of that, we have to catch you guys up on everything that's happening so far in the league and what happened with our first loss. So division-wise, let's talk about that first. In terms of the division, the Raiders and the Broncos are pretty much out of it at this point. The only team that has a chance against us is the Chiefs. If they get a win this week against us, they do close the gap for the lead of the division, and it would take one loss from us and well, they have a tie, so I'm not sure exactly how the situation will work out, but it would take not a lot for them to actually close that gap. So we'll see what happens there with the division, but that's where we stand at 9-1. Now, I got to show you guys what happened with the schedule. We've won all of our CPU games. I don't remember where it was that we left off last. I believe it was this Titans win. We went ahead and played our first user game, or I believe it was our second user game. Yeah, it was our second user game against the Bears. This guy's got a very good team. He took this game to overtime. We had trouble connecting at the beginning, so that's why you'll see 3 starts on that game. And it's been disconnecting me from matches lately, so that's why you'll see 2 on the Steelers game and on the Packers game. But we've had no trouble beating any of these teams, so there's no reason to believe that I would be needing to restart the games regardless. However, it just gives you guys a good example there. You can see we had to disconnect 3, well, I guess it'd be 2 times from this user game just because it wouldn't connect properly. So, our first loss came against the Chicago Bears, M Night 55, my friend Tyler. He beat us in overtime. He played basically a perfect game. We go in here and look at the stats. We played a very similar game, when you compare quarterback stats, running stats, everything like that. We passed for slightly more yardage, but we threw an interception, and that hurt us. We only got to him twice, sacking him twice. He only sacked us once, but then you look at the QB ratings, and they're virtually the same. You look at the rushing game, and we had virtually the same type of a day. He had more rushing yards from the standpoint of Mitch Trubisky actually getting after it and Terry Cohen having an extra 50 yards, but Melvin Gordon had 109 yards on the day and 2 touchdowns, so like I said, pretty similar stats, even between our top receivers, between Allen Robinson and Keenan Allen. He just outplayed me that game. He had a top-notch performance, and he took one from me. Now, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what their schedules look like and, what their records look like and everything like that, but we stand in a pretty good position. And we had a really, really good win this last week against the Oakland Raiders, and that's why I haven't been bringing you guys a ton of gameplay from this, because we've been putting up a lot of tips and tricks videos on the channel, and you guys have been enjoying those, leaving likes on them, and so you've been giving me positive feedback, so I've been continuing with those. And, it's not fun for you guys to watch a 28-3 blowout or a 51-20 blowout. It's just not. So I haven't been bringing you guys a whole lot of this. I think this Chiefs game might be good, so we'll see. I might get into the game and determine whether I want to stream it at that point. Might decide not to, but we'll see. We'll get you guys definitely some playoff gameplay once we get to that point. However, let me stop rambling. Let me give you guys stats for the team on the season so far, and then I'll give you guys some overall updates, and then we'll go around the league and look at some other players. Phillip Rivers on the season, close to 3,000 yards passing, 31 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. So we're looking, right around where we want to be in terms of the touchdown to interception ratio. We're looking at 3-1. I'd like to limit those a little bit more, but what can you do? You throw some interceptions here and there. We are really good in the sack category compared to other quarterbacks around the league. We have not been sacked a lot, and I have to credit my kind of patchwork offensive line and what I did to my offensive line to make them better. I have to give them credit for that. In terms of the rushing game, Melvin Gordon has finally overtaken Austin Eckler in the lead for rushing. However, I have been continuing to feed Austin Eckler the ball when I have opportunities to. And so he's near 700 yards. I'm looking to get two 1,000-yard running backs here on the same team. I don't know if that's ever been done. That's something that I need to look up. I assume that's something that's been done before, but that's a lot of yardage to be split between two running backs. And so I'm kind of on the fence on believing whether anybody's ever done that before or not. It's got to have been done, but I'm going to try and do it. I'm going to try and get 1,000 yards with both running backs. Then we have a couple really good receivers. Keenan Allen with 833 receiving yards. Mike Williams with 809 receiving yards. So great job between the two of them. Keenan Allen doing great in the touchdown category, 13 touchdowns for him. Hunter Henry with a respectable season so far as a tight end, 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. And then the rookie coming on strong, Emmanuel Hall, filling in for Travis Benjamin. Travis Benjamin didn't really do much for us, and he's been hurt on multiple occasions. So we promoted Emmanuel Hall to the number 3. He's got 258 yards in his limited performances and 3 touchdowns, which is really nice to see. And that's pretty much all there is to note in the receiving game. In terms of the pass blocking game, you look at all of our pass blockers, they haven't given up very many sacks. Parnell, Lamp, Okung, Pouncey. Most of the sacks that we've been getting have been kind of unforced, unblocked type of players coming in and sacking us, and we traded for Taylor Decker. Taylor Decker is going to be our long-term solution at left tackle. It was really important for us to go out and get an addition on the offensive line because, as you guys knew, the offensive line was getting older. And once I get to showing you guys the team's overalls and who's playing where, I'll show you guys more about this and describe more about it. But I just wanted to comment that these 9 sacks that you see here were primarily earned on the team that he was playing for, which was the Lions, I believe. Defensively speaking, Jatavis Brown doing really nice for us in the middle with 55 combined tackles. Not gaudy numbers or anything like that, but, nice stat line across the board with some sacks added. We have Joey Bosa, I believe, leading the league with 19.5 sacks. Melvin Ingram following up with 9.5, so really nice numbers there. And then we have a ton of our linebackers just mixing in here with their sack total. 6.5 from Nwosu, 6 from Mac Wilson, 5.5 from Jatavis Brown, 3.5 from Tranquil, 3.5 from the safety Adderley. And even the corners are getting in on it. Desmond King has 2. Derwin James has 2. We added Deshaun Hand. We'll talk about that. He has a sack now with us, and Corey Legit has a sack as well. And so those are some notable things to talk about. We're, Mike Badgley, 9 for 9 on the year. Not a whole lot to talk about in these categories. Sammy Coates doing a respectable job at kick return, averaging still over 25 yards per carry. We tried to give these duties to Travis Benjamin, and he got hurt and just hasn't been able to be there for us. And even in his limited abilities, limited chances to do this, he has performed, subpar to Sammy Coates. So Sammy Coates is going to have a ton of kick return yardage on the year and punt return yardage. He's already up over or close to 1,000 combined yards in returns from kick and punt returns. So that's really nice to see. Let's go ahead and take a look at the team and just show you guys what's going on with some of those trades that we had to do. We go ahead and take a look at the team offensively, and you guys are going to see that the major add was Taylor Decker. Like I said, Taylor Decker, young guy, has star development, only 25 years old, fits in nicely on the left side of the line with Forrest Lamp. These two, I think, are going to be the future at the left side of the line, so we have to try and focus on developing them a little bit. And what that did was that allowed us to move Okung back over to right tackle, which is where I feel like he's more naturally, I don't know what the word for it is, more natural, playing there. And we moved Jeremy Parnell to be backup offensive lineman across the board. And the reason being for that is Parnell is on his way out. He was a one-year fill-in spot. He's getting up there in age, and so he's definitely going to be gone next season. Okung has the potential to be around for a couple more seasons because he's only 30. He has good stats. He'll go down, but he'll at least be around, in my opinion. Same thing with Mike Pouncey. Mike Pouncey's an 84, and we're going to have him probably around for a couple more seasons, but we're going to eventually have to find a replacement for him. Now, one ad that you guys might have noted in prior videos, I don't know when exactly I picked him up, was Donald Penn. Donald Penn was cut from whatever team he was on, and I said, you know what, he's out there in free agency, I need help on the offensive line, let's go ahead and bring him in and see what he can do at guard and fill in this guard spot. So he's a one-year rental type of player, 77 overall, but he has performed exceedingly well, you know, well beyond my expectations as a guard. He's got that 92 strength, and I think that's all that he needs, really. He just plows people over, and I'm loving it. So I'm leaving him at right guard, and Parnell is going to be the backup across the board. And so we do have a bit of a patchwork system going on here, but really a system that's worked very well for us so far up until this point, and I kind of like what we have going for us on the O-line. I have a couple guys that I think will be with us for a few years, and then a couple building blocks on the left side, which is, you know, my primary running side. And then at the other positions, we pretty much have kept everybody. I believe, yeah, Travis Benjamin's injured right now. He did go up to an 80, and then we have had some upgrades across the board here, but we really haven't traded away anybody in terms of the offense. We just added that one lineman in order to make things happen. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, you guys will recognize all the linebackers and the safeties. However, we traded away our backup safety. I'm going to have to go and look at the transactions to show you guys. That way, and I believe we had to trade away our, I want to say it was our first round pick or second round pick. I don't remember, but we got Deshaun Hand in a trade as well. And Deshaun Hand, the reason we brought him in was because we've been noticing a big hole on our defense, and that's just our run stuff again. We just don't really have an ability to stuff the run. And that could be attributed to many things. It's a combination of factors. Number one, Jerry Tillery and Corey Legitt just can't block shed in the middle. I do want to get Jerry Tillery up there, but he hasn't progressed at all. He hasn't made any plays, and so I had to bring in somebody to kind of stuff the middle that could block shed. And Deshaun Hand is a perfect building block for us. Only 23 years old and has star potential. Only a second-year player, 94 strength and 83 block shed. That's exactly what you want for a defensive tackle or an interior defensive lineman. The blame could have also been placed on the linebackers for not being able to fill the gaps or block shed or whatever, but they're all young. I'm starting a young, fast group in the hopes that they develop together, and so I didn't really want to go out and trade for a high-end linebacker or anything like that. I would have rather filled the defensive line position and done it that way. And so that's exactly what we did. We went ahead and filled that spot. And so at safety, we now have Sual Cravens backing up and Deshaun Elliott, guys that you guys will recognize from earlier in the season. And that's pretty much what we got going on with the team. Let me go ahead over to the transactions list, and I can show you exactly what the trades were that we got approved by our commissioners panel in order to get some trades going. So I'm going to go to traded, and you guys will see that I traded away. That's not for him. That was in order to get Minka onto the correct team. So we traded Adrian Phillips, who was a 79 overall strong safety and only 27 years old with star potential, as well as Denzel Perryman, the 75 overall middle linebacker, who was young but just didn't fit into our scheme. We traded them as well as a third-round draft pick over to the Lions in order to pick up Taylor Decker and Deshaun Hand. Now, Taylor Decker was on the trade block because he, I don't know if he got demoted or his confidence was low because he gave up 9 sacks with that team or what was going on. So he was on the trade block, so he was kind of a cheap piece to add in that. They needed a safety, they needed a linebacker, and we give them a decent draft pick in return, and we got Deshaun Hand. He was the main piece in the trade. And so that was a big add for us, as well as the offensive lineman, because we'll be able to turn him into a pretty good player. Now, there were a couple other trades made that you will have seen there. Obviously, we moved some of the players onto their correct teams, but the guy that's the Jets made a couple trades. He tried to get a couple younger receivers by trading away some of his O-line. I think it's kind of backfired for him, but we'll go ahead and check the standings for you guys. You guys will see some of the teams left the league. The Patriots, the Eagles, the 49ers, they all couldn't keep up with playing their games every 4 days, which is kind of amazing to me. The guy that's the 49ers we had to boot because there was some drama between the guy that is Walking Avenger and a couple of other guys. Complicated story. We had to move some guys around, and so it's these 5 teams that are remaining in the league currently. So we got the Browns, the Texans, the Jets, and the Bears. And so let's go ahead and take a look at their standings. If we go ahead and look at the Browns, first and foremost, they are sitting at 6-3. Now, they're in an interesting position. This guy has played really well this season. Problem is, he's sitting behind the Ravens, who are 8-1, so it's going to be tough for him to actually win this division. He's going to have to pull out some wins late. And I don't know if he's going to be able to do it or not, because that Ravens team seems unstoppable at this point. And so it's going to be the Browns potentially vying for a wild card spot coming out of the AFC North. This guy's doing very well. Congratulations to him. Then we go ahead and move on. We have the Texans, who is sitting at 4-5. He struggled to start the season. I think he started off like 0-3 or something, but he's now back up to 4-5, and this division isn't very competitive in the terms of the rest of the league. Like, they're no one here is very good, but the division is competitive with themselves. So at 4-5, he's only a game out from the division lead. If he can really turn this around and pick up a couple more wins in a row, he can leapfrog the Jaguars, Colts, and Titans and take over this division. So we do have guys here that are able to compete with what's going on. The guy that is the Jets, another very similar situation. For some reason, the Patriots are doing horrible. They're at 3-6. The Dolphins are 2-7, which makes sense. And the Bills are at 4-5. So if the Jets pick up a couple wins in a row, again, they'll leapfrog the Bills and take over that division. And this guy's been playing better as of late, being in more competitive games, so we'll see what happens. But I think some of those trades might have backfired on him, because he's got a good receiving core, but he doesn't have an O-line to block for him anymore. We go over to the West. Obviously, that's my division. We have that kind of locked up at this point. Not totally, but we'll see what happens as we move forward. The Bears are on top of their division, tied with the Packers at 5-4. They actually just lost their last game, but he's been playing pretty well. It'll be interesting to see what happens with this division as well, because this is a very close divisional race. This is the guy that beat me, so, you know, my fingers are crossed that he makes it into a wild card spot as opposed to actually winning the division, because I don't want this guy going all the way to the Super Bowl to face me again. But you know what? It'd be great competition, so I'd like to see what happens. This is a good divisional race here over in the NFC North. I don't think we have any users in the NFC South, NFC East, or NFC West. And so that recaps the division. Some tight division races with the other teams going on there. We'll check back in later. Definitely, I'll keep you guys updated with all that stuff. And then the one last thing that I want to update you guys on are the awards for the season, and showing you guys, you know, maybe some stats compared to the other players around the league. And so with the yearly awards, you have currently Phillip Rivers, Baker Mayfield, Deshaun Watson, Kyler Murray, and various other quarterbacks in the running for NFL MVP. Now, the three notable ones are obviously the three up here at the top, because these are three users. We have Phillip Rivers, Baker Mayfield, and Deshaun Watson. For Coach of the Year, we have me, LaDainian Tomlinson. We also have the Ravens head coach, because they're somehow 8-1 on the season. And then a couple other interesting ones like Cliff Kingsbury. Somehow the Cardinals are doing really well. The Panthers are doing really well on their own. The Cowboys, not much of a surprise. They're doing pretty well. And then obviously the Browns guy, and then Chiefs, Saints, you know, some of the teams that you would expect are doing really well on the season. However, when we go to the AFC, that's mainly what we're going to concern ourselves with. The Offensive Player of the Year category is between Phillip Rivers and Baker Mayfield right now. Patrick Mahomes could leapfrog in there, maybe Deshaun Watson, depending on how the rest of the season plays out, but it's looking like we could get an Offensive Player of the Year award and MVP for Phillip Rivers, so that's what we're shooting for. Defensive Player of the Year is a good contest between a whole bunch of pass rushers that are close to breaking records. Joey Bosa, Von Miller, Myles Garrett, these guys aren't very far apart in sack totals. They're all up there in the high teens, and they all have a shot at actually breaking the record, which is no surprise, because if you guys have played a Madden franchise before, you know that there's always some defensive end that actually goes out and breaks the record. Now, a couple other interesting ones. CJ Mosley, for the guy that's a Jet, he's also in competition there, and then that guy also has Bradley Chubb in competition for the Defensive Player of the Year award. In terms of rookies, I don't know that there are any for... Yeah, I mean, Emmanuel Hall's on there, but he's not going to win it because he just hasn't had a whole season to actually make that happen. Defensive Rookie of the Year. We actually do have Drew Tranquill on here, which is nice to see. He hasn't done a ton to really earn that, in my opinion. I feel like that some of these other guys have probably done more. And even, I mean, Adderley, I think, is more deserving of it. Maybe even Mac Wilson than Tranquill is. But we do have a few guys competing for this spot, which is nice to see. We have a lot of potential to earn awards and earn bonus XP going forward. And then we'll go ahead, and the last thing is we'll jump into player stats on the season, just to show you guys how we compare to the rest of the league. We go ahead, sort by NFL up here. Passing yardage wise, Phillip Rivers is leading the league in passing yardage and I believe touchdowns. Yeah, he's leading in touchdowns. Not a ton of surprise there, because I do usually lead in those categories. and I'm a very good team. However, there are some notable other interesting players that are up here. You know, the Patriots are only sitting at like 3-6 or something, but Tom Brady's doing really well, so it's odd that their team isn't winning. Eli Manning is majestically having a career comeback. He's the third best quarterback right now, which is just a flat-out interesting thing to see. It's kind of broken in terms of what's going on in real life, but it's kind of fun to see something interesting like that happen. Matt Ryan is having a bounce back. Marcus Mariota having a very good season. Same with Jameis Winston. And these guys, you know, like Joe Flacco even, they're having better seasons than some of the all-pro quarterbacks like Russell Wilson. You know, Matt Stafford's not having a very good season. Dwayne Haskins is having a pretty good season for a rookie. And then you go down the list. I mean, Aaron Rodgers had a drop-off. Kyler Murray is having a pretty good rookie campaign. And then there's some other guys on this list like, you know, Ben Roethlisberger that are just non-existent. And I don't know, you know, he's a high overall in our franchise. It's just interesting to see how these things are playing out. In terms of the rushing game, the top-end running backs, it's basically a competition between Elliott, Barkley, David Johnson, Christian McCaffrey, Melvin Gordon, and some of these other guys like Tevin Coleman, Alvin Kamara. It's a pretty tight race there up at the top. Some, you know, basically the big-name running backs that you would expect to be up at the top of the league. I have a feeling that I'm going to be able to catch up to the leading guys in Elliott and Barkley, but you know, if they have a couple big games, they could just keep pulling away from me. Melvin Gordon being up here at the top of the league after being out for so many games, we held him out because of the contract dispute. Definitely a good sign that he's able to be competing up here up at the top. And then you don't have to go very far to find Austin Eckler, who is also doing really well for himself on the season. Receiving yardage wise, the guy that's the Browns that has OBJ, he's going to win this award. He's the best, not award, he's going to win the receiving title for sure, because I'm spreading the ball between my guys, and there's nobody else that's really competing for that title. When you look at it, I mean, Robbie Anderson, unless he has a few really huge games, but OBJ is going to run away with this, I think. I'm not going to be giving, you know, Keenan Allen or Mike Williams 200 or 300 yards a game. I just don't throw the ball that way. So I think OBJ has this pretty well locked up at this point if he doesn't get hurt or anything like that. Blocking wise, I always find it interesting to look and see who's given up the most sacks. And what you'll notice is at the top of the league, Brandon Shell, the guy for the Jets, like I said, he's struggling with his O-line, has given up 12 sacks on the season, and I'm always interested to see if it's any users. Kyle Long, the guy for the Bears, he's given up quite a few sacks. Taylor Decker is my guy. He was on the Lions when he gave up all those sacks. You know, another guy, Ryan Khalil, giving up a bunch of sacks for a user. Charles Leno, Bobby Massey. Very interesting things to see here. James Daniel. And for some reason, I wasn't able to generate a lot of pressure whenever I was playing that Bears guy. So that's an interesting thing to look at. Now what we want to look at is who's leading in tackles. Bobby Wagner, no surprise there. A very interesting one in Alec Ogletree, 10 games through the season. He is second in tackles. So some surprise players coming out off of the Giants squad. Eli Manning having a really good season. Alec Ogletree having a really good season. It's a pretty weird, interesting result there. And then some guys like Corey Littleton, Alex Anzalone, Kevin King having 71 tackles. It's a very odd lineup of guys up here at the top. And Rashaan Evans having a ton of tackles. But what I'm interested in mainly is looking at the sack stats. Joey Bosa is in fact leading the league in sacks, but like I said, Mack and Garrett are a close second behind him at 15. I have been slowing down with Bosa. I haven't been rushing him a lot. I've been dropping him into coverage and stuff. And he still finds ways to get to the quarterback when I'm not paying attention, or whenever it's like a 3-4 or a 4-3 and he's just automatically on the line of scrimmage rushing. He just blows by people, and there's not much I can do about it. It just is what it is. He's getting close to that sack record, and I'm worried that I'm going to get in trouble if he breaks that sack record. Now, some other interesting stats are the interception stats. The leader is the guy from the Browns. He has 4 interceptions with Denzel Ward. Now, it's not interesting that it's Denzel Ward because he's a very good corner. It's just interesting that the guy with the Browns is getting a ton of interceptions with that guy. Very impressive there. I'm surprised that I don't see anybody from the Jets up here near the top, because he normally has a ton of interceptions, whether it be with his linebackers or his safeties. But something that you won't see is guys from my team with a ton of interceptions. And And basically the reason being for that is they suck at catching the ball. And you guys have probably seen, if you've watched any of my gameplay, they drop everything. I mean, Trevor Williams has probably had a chance at 10 interceptions this season, just falling right into his hands, and he's just dropped them all. So, something interesting to note there. And that's pretty much where we stand with everything. I've given you guys a rundown of the stats. I've given you guys a rundown of the users, the divisions, where everybody stands. A lot of close divisional races, so I am going to keep you guys posted as we get closer to playoffs here. Obviously, we have this Chiefs game coming up, and then we have a bye week. Let's look at the rest of the schedule, and we'll send you guys out looking at the schedule that we have moving forward. So I don't foresee having much trouble moving forward. Obviously, we have 2 Chiefs games, which is the main trouble for us, moving forward. But we have this Chiefs game, and then we have a nice bye week after, so hopefully the team will be well rested coming off that game, win or loss. And even if we lost, 2-3 games out of this, I wouldn't be that upset. We're going to finish this season with a very good record. I'm confident we can beat the Broncos. They're not very good. The Jaguars are an interesting story. I mean, their defense is still really tough in Madden to play, so it'll be interesting to see if we can throw on them or what we have to do to try and actually be successful against them. I historically have some trouble playing Jacksonville, so, if anything, if I take one game against the Chiefs and lose one other game, it will probably be this Jaguars game, and so at most 2 more losses I'm seeing here on the schedule. We have a game against the Vikings, which is winnable in my opinion. We have a game against the Raiders, which is winnable. Obviously, you guys just saw that we beat the Raiders 51-20. So I'm pretty confident as we move forward. I think that we'll lock up the #1 seed, but I'll keep you guys posted, like I've said multiple times in the video. If you guys are interested to see more of the franchise, if you guys do want to see some more gameplay as we move forward, let me know what games you do want to see. Do you want to just see playoff gameplay? Whatever it might be. It's kind of difficult for me to capture stuff because I don't have my capture card up and running. I have to stream it, so I pretty much have to stream the whole game. But with that being said, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave all your comments down below. What do you guys want to see? What other videos do you want to see? Is there something you need help with? So let me know down in the comment section. I've been taking viewer requests all the time lately and trying to pump out those videos for you. I still have a couple more viewer requests to get to, but I will definitely put it on the list and get to it in the near future. So hopefully you guys have a great one. Hopefully you guys are interested in the franchise. If you are, like I said, leave me some feedback, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.